Okay, welcome everyone. First, the most common custom is to always say thank you to the host. So I'd like to gratefully say thank you to Ella for doing such a great job to organize tonight's shiur. That was very nice of you. And to the Becharim congregation of Jamaica Estates in the Refuah Shalema of Emily Sigalit Bat Leah and Marina Bat Chana HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give them both a speedy Refuah Shalema B'karov. Amen. Many of you know me from my work in dating. I'm very involved in dating, Baruch Hashem, here in New York and throughout the America and throughout the world. I will now pivot off completely differently. You're going to hear a different version of Jack Cohen tonight. I came here to give myself hizuk. I came here to give everyone else hizuk because we need it. When we have a situation like this, in which we have a young child that's sick and not feeling well, we need to know what is the message that Hashem wants from us, what does He want us to learn from this, and how can we improve. We have literally 5 days left for Rosh Hashanah. This is it. This is what they say in baseball, 9th inning or last quarter in basketball. What can we do now? Because Borei Olam opens the doors far and wide right now. Let me start with a phenomenal story. Yigal Yaron served in the Israeli army for 25 years. Although many soldiers retire in their late 50s, after 25 years, he was in his 40s, he said, enough's enough. I can't do this anymore. He spent his whole life in the army, and now he wanted to get a pensia from the army. So the last thing he had to do was an operation. What was the operation? He was to go into an Arab village with Israeli soldiers, and when Israel, the IAF, when the Israeli Air Force comes in, you know, Baruch Hashem, we're considered the most moral army in the world. We just don't bomb, so we drop leaflets, or in this case, he went in with a whole group of soldiers from the Israeli army to tell the Arabs to get out because we're going to be coming and we're going to be carpet bombing the city on the West Bank, which is, Baruch Hashem, something that we are Jews, that we're Baalei Rachmanim, we're merciful people. Okay, so as he got in there, some of the Arab citizens cleared out, some did not. He was taken hostage, and he was captured by the Arabs. They beat him mercilessly and to try to get information out of him, but he refused to tell them anything. And after that, Baruch Hashem, he was freed. The Israeli army went in there and was able to rescue him. After that, he said, enough's enough. I don't want to be a soldier anymore. I'm done. This is my last run. They tried to change his mind. And he said, listen, Yigal, what if you take a desk job? We could still use you because you know so much about what's going on with the Arabs. He said, no, I'm done. Listen to what happens. A few days later, he's walking near his house in Netanya when a van pulls up and a group of Israeli soldiers grab him and they put him in the van. And he's wondering what's going on. But guess what? What language do you think they're speaking? Arabic. He said, oh my gosh, they probably got me now because they discovered that I was released when he was kidnapped by them. Now they want to get revenge against me. And so they take him to a place and they blindfold him and they start to beat him. After one thing, they want information. They want to make him crack until he gives them secret information about the IDF, the Israeli Air Force. I mean the Israeli, the defense forces. And he says, no, he says to himself, I'm not giving in. I didn't go this far in life in order to tell the Arabs all of our secrets. And after a session in which they beat him and they tortured him and they didn't get anything out of him, they decided to take a break. And something very interesting happens. Listen to what happens. They walk out of the room and he is laughing behind the wall. And they're talking in Hebrew. And he says, oh my gosh, I figured it out. When he decided to tell the IDF, the Israeli army that he's retiring, they said, maybe, we don't know, can we trust him? Maybe he'll tell the Arabs something. So if he leaves for suddenly on the spot, we got to test him. So they put him through that whole exercise to see if he will give away information. And then they released him. What's the message? The Ribono Shel Olam sometimes puts us through tests in life. Hard tests. We all have it, every single one of us. Some of us have kids issues, some have parnasa issues, some have shalom bayit issues, some have school issues, whatever it is. He wants to see how tough you are. He wants to see if you can hang in there. And we have to learn from Yigal. Don't snap. Don't give in. don't give up. Our tests will only make us stronger. You know what they say? If it doesn't kill you, it only makes you stronger. So they have to remember, that's a very important lesson. Let me also share another incredible story with you. There was a tzaddik in Bnei Brak by the name of Rabbi Yehuda Michal Lefkowitz. He was a short little man. And people came from all over Israel for a beracha. I once went to him for a beracha. You got to wait a long time, but he was the Rosh Yeshiva of Panovich. Panovich, if you don't know, is like the Harvard of Israeli yeshivot. Impossible to get in. But he was the head of it. Many people would come. One day, someone came to him. A story that's amazing. The guy was in Kollel. He was learning Torah full time. And he said, Rabbi, I have so many problems. I made so many mistakes in my life. I can't change those mistakes. I made mistakes everywhere. And it has left me broken. I have no confidence left in life. So he told him, what is it that you do good? Is there one thing that you're successful at? He goes, Rabbi, I love learning Torah. And I enjoy it. But Rabbi, I just don't have the strength to go on in life. So he told him, I want you to do this for me. Use the Torah to give you strength in life when you feel like you're hopeless. He says, Rabbi, I didn't come here to get advice on Torah. I don't have a will to live. I have no desire to go on. So he tells him, let me tell you an interesting story. 70 years ago, a young married man who just started yeshiva endured an incredible tragedy. He was carrying a hot urn, like an urn on Shabbat, full of boiling hot water. And his baby daughter was crawling between his legs. He tripped on the baby, and all the water went on the baby, killed her on the spot. The man killed his own daughter. He could not be consoled. The word in Hebrew is nechama. Whatever you told him wouldn't help. He just couldn't be consoled. He couldn't be felt better. Days passed, weeks passed. The guy's in serious depression. Finally, one of his friends said, you know what? There's only one person in this country who can save you. Otherwise, you're going to just die from depression. Go visit the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish was the undisputed leader of the Torah world when the state of Israel became a state in the 1940s and the 1950s. He walks into the home of the Gadol Hador, the Chazon Ish. I'll give you a little background. Everyone heard of Rav Chaim Kanievsky? Okay. The Chazon Ish was brother-in-laws to Rav Chaim Kanievsky's father, the Stipler Gaon. They lived in a 2-bedroom house. One room for one rabbi and his wife, the other room for the other rabbi and his wife. That's how simple life was. So he walks in to the Gadol Hador. He bursts out crying. He's shattered. Rabbi, I need chizuk. I have nowhere to live. I killed my baby daughter. What is it to live for? And Chazon Ish asks him an interesting question. What Gemara are you learning? What are you learning in yeshiva? He tells him, Baba Kama. And for a half hour, they're talking learning. When the man says, Rabbi, stop. I didn't come here to deal with learning. I came here because I have no desire to live. You will have to figure out a way to keep me going. The Chazon Ish looked at him directly in the eye. And he said, I know why you're here. I'm not an idiot. By learning with you, I'm giving you a message, young man, or young woman, or older man, older woman. If you can focus and become totally involved in your Torah learning, you're going to go find comfort in its words. And if you don't, it's hopeless. You'll die from depression in a few years. Then, back to our story. Reb Lefkowitz tells the man who came with the problems, and the man who killed his baby daughter was me. That was me, 70 years ago. And if I didn't listen to Chazon Ish and get connected spiritually, because that would be the lifeline to my life, I would be an old man sitting in Tel Aviv in Yarkon Park feeding the pigeons because his mind went cuckoo. But no, look where I am today. He became like number 2 in Israel, the greatest of the great. You'd have to wait 2 hours to see Yehuda Michal Lefkowitz. And he'll give you 1 minute of his time. He saved himself because he held on to the lifeline of Torah. So the father of the Reb Chaim Kanievsky wrote a letter to the head of Panovich when he found out he had cancer. Rabbi Rozovsky. Listen to what he wrote him. The Stipler Gaon. To the illustrious honor of my cherished colleague, the most brilliant of rabbis, Rabbi Rozovsky was one of the biggest. Although because of my sins, this is Reb Chaim's father saying, yes, sins, I don't feel good. I wish I could come and visit you in the hospital, but I can't. But I'm concerned about you. Hashem should have mercy on you and heal you. Behold, he tells him, these are people, by the way, who could x-ray you in a minute, the minute you walked in. I went to see Reb Chaim Kanievsky. It was unbelievable. My brother-in-law from Brooklyn tells me, go give the rabbi $400. He gave me cash. I needed the cash when I was in Yerushalayim. So I said, you know what, I'll use the cash and I'll write the rabbi a check. I walk in front of Reb Chaim, I give him the check for $400. It has my name on it. This is now your money. Who gave this to you? How does he figure things like that out? These people know. They just know. They spend their time in Torah, they know. He tells this, the Stipler says in his letter, he goes, I want to tell you that the entire Olam Haba is based on a little suffering. Indeed, our rabbis teach us that if a period of 40 days passes in our lives without experiencing some sort of a problem, God forbid, a parking ticket, a little loss in money, whatever it is, then you're going to lose your share in Olam Haba. Because Olam Haba is saved for the people who have to go through stuff in this world. In heaven, he tells him, suffering is considered an awesome treasure. We don't want it. We don't ask for it. Every day we say, Bechot HaShachar, right? Don't give me Yisurim. I don't want it. No one wants any suffering. But if you endure it, and you say thank you for it, when you say thank you for it, this is what I teach the singles all the time as a dating coach. You're still single, say thank you. When you say thank you for the problem, you acknowledge it's for your best. That means 101 emunah, A+ emunah. God says you got the message. You got a parking ticket, say thank you. It'll go away somehow. You got a problem, say thank you for the problem. Thank you means, God, you're in control. You're running the show. Nothing you do is bad, so it must be good, which means I have to be grateful for it and say thank you. Once I do that, watch how the problems usually go away. So that's a very important thing. I want to read you an amazing letter. It's called Lose the Battle and Win the War. We're here to win the war. There's a lot of battles in life. We may lose a few of those battles, but we have to keep our focus on the long plan, the long-term goal. There was a rabbi, there is a yeshiva in Brooklyn called Chaim Berlin. And the man who started it was a man by the name of Yitzchak Kutner. Back in 1950s, after all the Jews came after the Holocaust. He gets a letter from one of his students who had graduated and become a rabbi in the Midwest, Chicago, something like that. He writes his Rebbe a letter. I'm not who I was. I'm not succeeding. When I was in school, I had such dreams and such goals, but I'm not meeting any of my goals. I expected to be big one day as a leader of a community, and it's not happening. And I feel bad. And listen to what the rabbi tells him. One of the biggest mistakes we all make is that we think that a tzaddik or tzaddiket got to where she is or he is because they were born that way. Because they came out of the womb, OBGYN, tzaddik, tzaddiket. No, it doesn't work that way. People who hear about stories of Chacham Ovadia and Chavetz Chaim and all these great stars think, yeah, what do you expect? They had great neshamot. I can never be who they were. Mistake. Huge mistake. Everyone is amazed by the purity of speech of the Chavetz Chaim. After all, he taught us the laws of not speaking Lashon Hara, of not gossiping. Wow, he was great, right? But who knows how many battles he had, how many struggles, and how many times he said Lashon Hara until he became the Chavetz Chaim. You understand what the rabbi is telling you here? Life is about struggles until you get where you have to get. You don't just become overnight a superstar. Not any basketball player, not any baseball player, not any stock trader. It takes time to become excellent at something. So when we look at a tzaddik and a tzaddikat, you didn't think they had their problems? You didn't think they had their challenges? They had many, and they fell. But here's the big thing. Kisheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. Shlomo HaMelech writes, because 7 times he fell and the tzaddik got up. And the rabbi writes him a letter. He says, all the fools think that the pasuk is like this. 7 times the tzaddik fell and got up. No. If you know Hebrew, just put the comma somewhere else. Kisheba yipol, 7 times he fell, and then he got up and became a tzaddik. It's all where you put the comma. We have the ability to become a tzaddik in our own eyes. The tzaddik that we could become. Not compared to the big stars, but we can do our share. We can become better and better. I spoke about this last week. You know how you do it? Incrementally, little by little. Today, another quarter to tzedakah. Just a quarter. Tomorrow, one more halacha in Lashon Hara, or Nida, or Kashrut, or Shabbat. Just one, that's all. Incremental. The people who set the huge goal right away in 24 hours, drop like flies. When you feel, he tells them, the Yetzer Hara struggling with you and fighting with you because he wants to make you feel bad, because you don't feel accomplished, because you could have done so much more in life. That's good. If you told me, he said, that everything's going fantastic in your life, I would say it's tov. But if you wrote me a letter that you're struggling with the Yetzer Hara, you're not who you used to be, then it's tov me'od. It's even better. Then I know you're going to become a star. And he tells them, I remember when you were in school, you were a good student. You did very well. You struggled, you worked hard. Another thing that's very important, that Rabbi Nachman tells us, pat yourself on the back for all of your accomplishments. I went to a shiur today. Good. Speak to yourself. The best person who can help you is you. Be confident. Yosef HaTzadik. Let's talk about his life. Any person that has a test like he had, he was put in jail on trumped up charges. He didn't touch Potiphar's wife, right? But he accepted it with simha. The Midrash tells us that when Yosef was in prison, he was a jumping man. He was jumping from joy. Could you imagine? Do you know what a prison is like 3,000 years ago? Not like today with color TVs and iPads. It was a hole in the ground. That's it. Imagine. No light all your life. Bathroom, go make in the corner. But he was jumping and he was happy. He sang, the Midrash tells us, and danced all day. How could he act like that? He was put in a cruel Egyptian jail. He trusted in Hashem is the answer. And he believed that everything was letovah, for the best. Something we have to drill into our very brain, because that's how we survive our lives. By virtue of his simha, you know what? The prison warden liked him. Why? You're the only one who walks around not depressed. You know what he told him? Here's the keys to the prison. Do whatever you want. Fine with me. And Yosef became the assistant to the prison ward. If he didn't have emunah, he would have been a miserable mess. He would have been a dejected individual. Low. He could have rotted in jail for years. In short, without emunah, he would have suffered a death in this world. Many tzaddikim were in jail. Rav Shir Zalman of Ladi, you're familiar with Chabad Lubavitch, right? He started the whole movement, and he was put in jail for many years. Rav Nachman of Breslov, Rav Chaim ben Attar, or Chaim HaKadosh, one of the greatest Sephardi commentaries on Chumash from Morocco, all put in jail. What did they do? They didn't cry. They took advantage of their predicaments, and they wrote books in jail. Sepharim. Are you capable of taking lemons and making lemonade out of it. That's what we have to do with our challenges. No matter how bad any situation seems in life, a person can take nihama, consolation, in knowing that his life or her life is in Hashem's hands, and Hashem is watching every move. Every move. If Yosef and the other tzaddikim who were in jail were able to accept their challenges in life with happiness, despite the fact that they didn't deserve to be there, because they were all charges that were false, then us, who are much simpler, can do the same. We can also copy them. Sickness is a severe test of emunah, not an easy challenge. A sick person must recognize 3 principles of emunah. 1, Hashem makes us sick, not the virus, not the bacteria. He sent it, but He's responsible for it. One should avoid telling himself or others, I got sick because he had dirty hands, whatever. We have to make ishtadlut. But it's Hashem that's ultimately responsible. 2, Hashem sends sickness for our benefit because He wants something from us. And I'll get into that in a few moments. Hashem wants the sick person or the sick family to initiate a period of soul searching. What could we do? Where can we become stronger? How can we get more connected? We're here to understand that. That's my mission tonight, to give you a GPS of how you can walk out of here a better person. There once was a princess. This is the Dubno Magid, one of the best storytellers in Eastern Europe, who married a poor guy, a peasant. He lived a far away distance from the palace where she was raised. After the wedding, she moved from her luxurious palace into some simple home that a peasant would own. And they didn't treat her nice. They were not nice to her. They made her act like a ozeret. Anyone knows Hebrew here? What's a ozeret? Maze ozeret? Maid. They treated her like a maid. She was depressed. She was miserable. She wrote a desperate letter to her father, the king. Please, Abba, Daddy, come visit me as soon as possible. He said to her, I'll be there in 40 days. I'll come to visit. When they put up simanim, signs all over the town that the king was coming, so her father-in-law and her mother-in-law said, oh, we can't show him this situation. So they decided to change the whole environment and make it look like a beautiful home, so he wouldn't get the wrong impression. He spent time with his daughter and her new community. He saw that she was being treated well. He was surprised to see the wonderful way they were taking care of her. There seemed to be no reason whatsoever that the daughter should be unhappy. That evening, as he was packing up to go back to the palace far away, his daughter came, grabbed him by his lapel and said, Abba, please, I'm in trouble. Why are you crying? You look like you're not missing anything. The family honors you, treats you well. The princess cried. She broke down. She said, Abba, my father, they're only doing this now as a fake. They'll forget me and they'll forget who I am very soon. I don't have the royal treatment anymore. It was a thing of the past. Now I'm a slave. The same is true of our neshama, which Hashem gave us. Our soul is a slave in our bodies. But when the month of Elul arrives, which is now, when word comes that Hashem the King is visiting for 40 days, right? We have 30 days Elul, 10 days Tishrei. Our bodies become more sensitive to our neshama, and they welcome Hashem the way He should be welcomed. And that's the daughter, the soul. We have to take care of that soul and make it shine the whole year, not just for those 40 days. Give it the treatment that it deserves, because it's our soul that's eternal, not our bodies. Now, quickly, what causes suffering? Number 1, sadness. It's a big sin. Huge. The first cause of suffering, and when a person is sad, when he or she are sad, nothing brings on dinim or judgments from Hashem like when a person complains and shows that he's dissatisfied or she is dissatisfied with her life. You want a problem with God? Start complaining. I don't like my dress. I don't like my car. I changed my kitchen 2 years ago, but it's already old-fashioned. I need a new one. I need a new, I haven't been to Miami in 2 weeks. I'm getting it ready. I'm losing my tan from the summer. It's not fair. You hear these people all the time. They are like cancer. Stay away from them. They disregard the thousands of daily berachot that we have in our lives. We have children. We have beautiful clothing. We have shoes. Do you have any idea how long it takes for someone that doesn't have kidneys to be able to expel urine? My father was a kidney dialysis patient. The whole day! For something that takes you and me a minute, 50 seconds, 6 hours, plus the ambulette. We need to ensure that we don't complain. If you complain, you're only inviting trouble with a capital T. Say, thank you Hashem for what I have. Thank you for everything. If it's your will that you can give me better, fine. Give it to me as a free gift. Matanat chinam. No demands. No demands whatsoever. When a person is dissatisfied with the way Hashem runs his life, guess what they do? You see what this is? This is a tik. It's called a folder. Every one of us has one in Shamayim. They say, pull the folder of Mr. Goldstein. He's complaining down below. And then they open the folder and it's, wow, this guy has the nerve to complain? We got him a raise last year, 20 grand on his annual salary. He went away to Hanukkah to Miami, managed to make it to Israel for Sukkot, plus all the other luxuries we gave him, and now suddenly he's not happy. Well, I don't know about that. Now, pull all the bonuses. So be very, very, very careful when it comes to demonstrating dissatisfaction. Sadness is a huge sin. Atzvut, stay away from it like the plague. One of the greatest dissatisfactions in our life comes because of complaining. Suffering should get us to wake up. Since there is no such thing as suffering without having done sins. This is the ideal time. Now's the time that Hashem is nearby. Grab a vidui card every day. I tell all my singles to do this, and the people with shalom bayit issues, and say, Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazadnu, I lied, I cheated, I stole. Just say it. It's an easy one. And you know what it does for you? Upstairs, when they pull the file, every day there's a court hearing on all of us. Every day they have to decide, does he get a parking ticket? Does he lose $10? Does he lose 20? But every day you go through the vidui, you eliminate all these IOUs. So when the prosecutor says, you know what? Steve is acting bad. He spoke Lashon Hara. Hashem says, get lost. Steve said vidui today for speaking Lashon Hara. Case dismissed. That's powerful. It's $1 million concept. Do it. 2. What's another reason we suffer? Failure to perform mitzvot. We were put on this world to perform mitzvot. We're supposed to do as many mitzvot as we can, and then at the end of our lives, after 120 years, they collect them all. Okay, there's a Madison Square Garden, the Mashal upstairs. Okay, what seat do you get? It'll be determined by the mitzvot that you did. So when you're imagine you see the thing calculating all day. You said hello to your mother, boom, mitzvah. You helped your friend with a carpool, boom, mitzvah. You're tabulating all day, it's rolling all day. You were nice to someone who needed a little bit of chizuk, boom, goes right on the record. And that's what you're doing. You're basically supposed to be living in this world, doing as many mitzvot, and shoving them into your bank account upstairs. But when we don't do mitzvot, when we ignore Hashem, then we have the opposite. We have suffering. Suffering is an indication that we are maybe a little bit short. What do you do for that? Go to classes. Learn more. Understand more. Learning is a never-ending thing in life. You can never stop learning. Learn how to keep Shabbat better. Learn the laws of Halachot Yom Tov. Learn the laws of Tzitzit, Mezuzah. There's so many laws we could learn. That was reason number 2, right? Reason number 1 was, we said, was suffering because of sadness, and the second one was failure to do mitzvot. Reason number 3 that we have suffering, ga'ava. Maze ga'ava? What's ga'ava? Arrogance, pride. Because he doesn't look to God. I got it under control. I have it all under control. I don't need Hashem. So what does Hashem do? He uses suffering to boom, boom, boom. You got an inflated ego like a balloon? Well, here comes an embarrassment, a shame that'll knock you down a little bit. And he does it to all of us, me included, plenty. You understand? This gets you back to where you belong. Get back on the floor a little bit. So he knocks us down. Whenever we suffer from an inflated ego, Hashem is going to wake us up with a little reminder. A little suffering just to, get that anava back. Get your humility back. King Shlomo said, the wisest of men, pride comes before destruction and arrogance comes before failure. So the two are connected. Destruction and arrogance. Watch the ga'ava. You make a little money, you got yourself a nice new Lexus now, you build a better house, a bigger house, you start feeling good. That's how human beings are. I have a better business than my competitor. I'm hashuv. I'm big. I'm special. We all prey to this problem, and we all have to be on the lookout for it because it usually leads to a problem around the corner. Try to always keep your feet on the ground. That's key. Next, midah kineged midah is another reason that we suffer. For example, a taxi driver in Israel. Let's hope, maybe not, maybe here, violates Shabbat. And he ends up getting 2 flat tires and a speeding ticket the following Sunday morning, which wipes out most of his profit for Shabbat, causing him to lose the exact amount of money that he made on Shabbat. So sometimes when something happens to us, ask yourself, what did I do there in terms of potential sin that could have caused it? Someone embarrassed me, maybe I embarrassed someone else. Do a little cheshvon nefesh. Here's a story from the Gemara. There was a great sage in the Tanna. The Tanaim were like Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. You had the Tanaim who wrote the Mishnah, and then came the commentary on the Gemara, on the Mishnah, which is the Gemara. Those are called the Omoraim. So the Tanaim were very, very special. They were very holy. Rav Huna had 400 barrels of wine. Today, that's a lot of money. 3,000 years ago, it was a fortune of money. They all became vinegar. Boom. One shot. So his friends told him, do some soul searching, find out why this happened. There is no such thing as random in our lives. There's got to be a reason that God made it. So he said to them, me? I'm a rabbi. What would I have done so bad that could have caused me to lose 400? So they told him, do some soul searching. So he said, you know what? He told all his friends, he gathered them in a room. He says, if anyone here knows of any reason of a sin that I did that could have caused me to have 400 barrels of wine convert into vinegar, please, I welcome the suggestions. I want to be better. So his friend says to him, we have heard that you're not fair with the guy that rents a piece of your farm, a tenant farmer, and that you don't give him the share of the grapes. You know what he says? And we all have this problem, by the way. He steals me blind. Therefore, you think I'm going to give him fair? I know he walks away more than he deserves. So there's nothing wrong with me taking. The rabbi said, he who steals from a thief has the taste of a thievery in his mouth. I take it upon myself, the rabbi said, to do tshuva and to return to the tenant the rightful amount of grapes. And guess what happened? Hashem performed the miracle and restored the vinegar to its original state of wine. 400 barrels became wine again. All because, not that he did tshuva, he decided that he was going to do tshuva. Just the mere thought starts the Yeshua, and God starts to change. Okay, so now, what do you do? What lessons can I teach you from my toolbox that you can use to go forward in life? What's the plan? You might ask, right? What's the plan? Someone writes, a big rabbi, Rabbi Pliskin, in 1964 I read a poem that moved me greatly. It was in Hebrew. I'll translate it to you in English. The past is only memories. The future is only hope. Focus on the present, for that is where your life is now. And it consists of tests. And this is the most important thing. What you focus on becomes bigger. Think of today. Just focus of today. What can I do today? Your life challenge is to think of today and appreciate all the things that we have in our life today. How can I become more kinder today? How can I become more compassionate today? Don't think about the worries of yesterday, and don't think about the future of tomorrow. Focus on today, now. Begin again now. How can I do more with my talents now? How can I learn more now? How can I become more kinder now? When you increase the understanding of this concept, you'll experience more meaning and purpose in every day. And every day will become more chashuv. So your job is to say to yourself, what can I do to become better now? Every day is valuable. We all have memories. We have to go into our memory banks and remember the good times. The wonderful Shabbat Se'odot, the wonderful family vacations, when we have challenges in our life. When Yosef HaTzadik was in jail and they brought him out and he explained the dream to Paro, 7 fat cows, and then 7 lean cows, and the lean cows ate the fat cows, and 7 huge fat grains of stalk of wheat, and 7 thin ones, and the thin ones ate the fat ones. Yosef was sending a message. You know what he said? Put away stuff for the bad days. In my line of work, I tell the people who have Shalom Bayit issues, let your great years of memories nourish your skinny years. Anytime you have a bad thought or things are not going your way, right away go into your memory bank of the good times. Pull that memory and think about it now. That's going to give you the chizuk to go on. Understand? Let the good years feed the skinny years. Your mind and your neshama can choose to think and speak and act wisely. Don't waste too much time on regrets. It's not going to accomplish anything. I should have bought this. I should have done that. I could have had this house. I could have invested in that stock market. I could have made this for dinner. It's not worth it. Regret will accomplish nothing. It's wasted energy.